Welcome back, everybody. This is Calvin Starre, and this is the webinar series Advancement in Leadership, a webinar training series on the book The Disciplined Leader by John Manning. And it's 52 powerful, concise lessons about leadership and what you need to do. And it was actually designed for corporate America, executives and companies. I took this years ago. And when I saw the book, though, I thought, what a great opportunity for me to be able to kind of, push myself a little bit too, because I wanted to take this and turn it into something that I could, share with people in the network marketing industry. And so here we are, and we are on week 41. And this chapter is called Lead from the Front, chapter 41. But before we get started, the way we do things here at the Advancement in Leadership webinar series, we always try to take the information that we've learned and integrate it. And the best way to integrate it is to repeat it or to just kind of refresh our memories as we start to add more. And this will allow you to be able to integrate this information into your brain in a way that will last longer. If you've attended any seminars or webinars or anything like that, what you've learned is that a lot of times when you go somewhere and you learn something, you forget most of it right away because we can only handle so much. And so repeating the information or recalling the information in a manner that allows you to integrate it in allows this process to kind of unfold where you start to stack things on top of each other and you become stronger in your foundation. So before we go into it, we're going to go into our integration and we're going to go back 3 weeks, 3 chapters, chapter 38, recognize your team. And when we're talking about network marketing, we're talking about really, honoring everybody on your team, not just a few people that are at the top level or the top ranks. They get a lot of recognition as it is. But what we're doing here is as leaders in companies, we're doing our best to recognize and develop new leadership. And that's what's always going to maintain and help you thrive in your business. So we're going to recognize your team equally. Now, that doesn't mean that you spend an hour on somebody who just got started, but you recognize them, you recognize their participation, their efforts, their results. And if they don't have a lot of great results, then just recognize their effort and their participation in what they're doing. That will help continue to build the confidence that's needed to be able to take those necessary steps and be disciplined in what they need to do in order to accomplish success in network marketing. And never take anything for granted. We've all been there and we've all had moments where we've struggled. And so you have to recognize that some people are struggling and that's what they're doing. And so just recognize their efforts and their participation in this, which will create a more of a relationship with them as well because they'll feel it. They'll understand that you're acknowledging them for what they're trying to do rather than some result that everybody thinks they should get. So that's chapter 38. And then chapter 39 was develop a what's the goal culture. And this is fun because I've actually been integrating this into my own life where I go, okay, well, what's the goal about this meeting that's coming up? Or what's the goal in this phone call that's coming up? Or what's the goal in this conversation? And that's really what this is about. And the purpose of it is to help you understand how much time you really put into all the trimmings, let's say. When you start to really focus on what's the goal in a conversation or in a meeting, you realize that a lot of times we spend so much time just, small chat or, just kind of, beating around the bush with things. And if you start to focus on what's the goal, you'll accomplish so much more if you want to. There are obviously times where you just want to kind of shoot the shit and just kind of hang out with somebody. But if you really want to achieve results that you've never achieved before, you may need to start trimming out some of the fat that is no longer necessary in order to, create the results that you want. So developing a what's the goal culture with your team will help you also, handle more and get to the root of issues much more quickly than you would if you would just sit around and chit chat for 5 to 10 minutes and then get to something, or maybe not be able to get to it because something comes up. So develop that culture, and it also will come across as more of just a thing that people do. It's like, hey, what's the goal of our conversation? Okay, well, I want to achieve this. I want to get this done. I want to schedule a three-way. I want to do that. Like all of these things. And so teach people that because it will start to trickle out, and you'll start to see the improvements because people will become focused on their goals. All right. Chapter 40, stay the course. when there's changes, people start to get worried or they start to freak out. And so the trick is to get people to understand to stay the course. And a lot of my trainings that I've done personally have always been about that. Do it for yourself, and you will have no problem staying the course because you're doing it for you. You're not doing it for somebody else. Let's say if something happens to somebody else in your organization or a team leaves, it's like, hey, whatever, no big deal. Because you're focused on staying the course, which is you know what you need to do. You know that you need to follow your system. You know that you need to stay in your company and you need to get the results that you know that you can get by doing this. And that's what it means to stay the course. It doesn't mean chase the next lure that comes to you or, that the beautiful movie Up, squirrel, it doesn't have to be like that. But what you can do is just say, listen, here's what's going to happen. And this is the best part about staying the course is the idea that you pre-frame. You pre-frame people when they first come into your organization or your company, and you pre-frame and then go, hey, listen, there's going to be ups and downs, and there's going to be moments where you're going to want to quit. But the trick to this business, the trick to anything in life, is to stay the course. Stay the course and stay true to who you are and what you are as a leader, and stay focused on your objective or your goal, and that will get you to where you want to go. So, and letting people know that will actually help them stay the course when the time comes that they could choose something else. All right, let's get into this. Chapter 41, lead from the front. Let's go to Theodore Roosevelt, and we got some older quotes here. People ask the difference between a leader and a boss. The leader leads and the boss drives. The leader is somebody who is going to lead the front. And I was watching Game of Thrones, and the crazy thing about that is that those kings, they were actually in the front line. Some of them were, okay? The leaders were. Their true leadership was. They were at the front. They were, out there fighting with their men side by side, while the people that were not so liked and kind of weak, those are the people that are like the bosses who they just tell, oh, you know what, you need to go do that. You need to go do this, or you need to go do that. Whatever it is. But a leader shows, hey, if I'm going to ask you to do something, I'm going to do it with you because that's what leaders do. And a boss is just going to say, hey, go do this because I got other stuff to do, or I don't want to do that. It's like, no, let's do this together. And that's what leadership does, and it builds relationships. Now, second person, Henry Ford, don't find fault, find a remedy. Okay. And this is a great quote on leadership because what Ford is meaning here, and also with this chapter, lead from the front. When you point the finger at people and you say, oh, it's because of you or it's because of you, you're finding fault, and ultimately you're not leading from the front. You're kind of pointing from the finger, like that we talked about just in the last quote about somebody going, oh, you go out there and do that, and then when they go out and do that and they make a mistake, you're sitting there going, oh, well, that's wrong. It's like, that doesn't work. Ultimately, if you're a leader, you're out in the field and you're going to have to make things happen in that moment to survive. And so finding a remedy is much more powerful. And the only place that you can find a remedy is when you're in that situation for yourself and you're experiencing it. Anybody can, look on the outside and see in and find fault in everything, but truly to understand what you need to do to accomplish and achieve a result, you have to be in it. So let's get into the book. Leaders must inspire others to achieve goals. Okay, that's the bottom line for leadership, is that you're looking to inspire people to achieve something that they've never achieved before. And I'm not talking about motivation. Okay, motivation is totally different. I think motivation, and this is what Tony has shared with me, a few other people that have shared with me, is that motivation is fear-driven. It is, I'm motivated to do this because I got to pay my bills. But the moment that the bill is paid, there's no more motivation, right? But when you inspire somebody to do something, that's when you can truly say that there's a flame inside that's been fanned and it's growing because it's going to take care of itself. It's not out of fear or need or necessity. It's because it's something that you want. And so your opportunity as a leader is to inspire others to want to achieve their goals. And this is not equivalent to loads of energy. This isn't somebody running around going, this is great, right? This is not that. This is not a lot of energy. This is about being passionate by being front and center, about being in the mix, being there for your people, being there with them when things happen, and really being clear and present and aware. And I was also reading a quote with Deepak Chopra was talking about enlightened leadership. It's not about this dogma or religious, fanatics kind of thing. It's being aware and being conscious of what's going on around you and being able to kind of, take that in and then making a decision or doing something with it. Now, in good times and bad times, you must remain visible and engaged. When you're a leader and something happens, you've got to remain in front and engage with people to let people see your strength and your position or your posture. That's what it means. Though it's easy to get up and do things when it's good times, right? It's really tough to do things at bad times, but that's when it's the most important for you to remain visible and engaged. Now, in the book, it kind of goes right into this, but here are several ways to step up and remain front and center. Get consensus, okay? You want to be present with all your leaders and ask for their input. This is key in success. The people that you need to run from are the people who think that they have all the great ideas and that it's their way or the highway. And a good leader is going to get people's input. And I was just consulting with somebody, and they said, this is something I saw that you had this idea, but I thought about this, and I said, wow, I would have loved to have you around when we were putting that together, because that's getting people's input. And there's nothing more exciting than having a great idea and then having somebody else contribute to it and say, wow, you could do it this way and make it even better. And I'm reading this book by John about, or James Altucher, Choose Yourself, Guide to Wealth. Really just an amazing book, but it's all about ideas and sharing ideas and collaborating with people, whether it be for money or whether it be for free. You're engaging because everybody learns in that process. As a result, what happens is when you start to get people's input, they will all become more engaged. And so if you do this with your leaders and you ask them for their input on a direction or a decision that needs to be made, you just say, hey, I'm just looking for your input. And all of a sudden they become more engaged because they want to be a part of it too. And you want this because you cannot achieve your goals alone, okay? Like I said before, anybody who thinks that they can do it alone or that they're the only reason for something is blinded by the fact that everything comes from effort, of group effort. Sure, we're all manifestors, we're all creators, we're also co-creators. And so, if you want to co-create with more and more people, then you need to get the consensus and ask people. And it's not that cheesy line that we love as network marketers, right? That goes, hey, I'd like to get your opinion on this business opportunity. It's like, not that crappy stuff, right? It's more of like, hey, I'm really interested. I've got this idea for my business and I wanted to get your opinion on it, but make sure it's a real idea and that it's something that you're actually trying to do, not just some sales pitch. Number 2, lead in crisis. Your responsibility in leading your organization is to be front and center because people are relying on you. So big or small, consistently see the issue through until it's resolved. So when something does happen and crisis is happening, it's your responsibility. People will look to you as the leader to guide them, to give them understanding, and to help them find remedy with whatever's going on. If you start pointing the finger and blaming other people for all the issues, then they're going to look at you and go, well, what were you thinking or what were you doing in that process? And so what you want to do is take that leadership role and say, hey, listen, I know there's an issue with this or that or software or there's an issue with, what's going on Facebook or commissions because we're dealing with network marketing. And you just want to lead them through that and go, hey, it's okay. Well, it'll be taken care of. It's totally fine. And take responsibility for leading the people. And don't hide. Don't not answer people on Facebook or text messages or phone calls. Be really open with them and let them know what's going on. Don't try and hide stuff, right? Because that's just going to cause more crisis when people don't know what to expect or what they're getting. Then we have number 3, sponsor change. And I saw this and I was like, what is he talking about sponsor change? Like, I know what a sponsor change is. But what he's saying here is sponsor change, okay? Like when things are changing, sponsor it. Become not a proponent, but like someone who is for that change. Be the one to get behind the changes and take a more proactive approach by getting from our front, and that should be front and center of the change from the get-go. So don't hide behind, walls or whatever, so to, figuratively speaking, but be front and center and say, listen, this is the best thing for us. This is the best thing, because it's always going to happen. There's always going to be change, which is why I've been such a big person to say to people, hey, listen, don't do this for anybody but yourself, because people change. People go places, they leave, whatever it is. And it's not about those people, it's about you, and about you resonating with something in your life to be able to experience that. So get behind changes when you can truly believe in them, and take a more proactive approach and letting people know, hey, it's okay. Change is always going to happen, because people hate change. And it's unfortunate, because everybody wants something more and everybody wants to be better. And in order to do that, they must change. And so you can see why people struggle and resist so much and never achieve what they want, is because they're resisting the one thing that has to happen. They have to change. They have to allow things to happen and flow through them. Okay? Now, let's get into take action now. Number one, recognize your responsibility to create consensus and support for your company's vision. Like, really find out what the company's vision is. What is it truly that you were attracted to in the beginning, that you were focused on, that the company is focused on, and recognize that you have to create that vision. The greatest leaders don't necessarily, have a great product or anything like that. They're selling people on the idea, the vision of what they see and what they're trying to accomplish. And as your job as a leader, you have to get that consensus and support for your company's vision. That's just the way it works. Number two, be front and center with change initiatives you are managing. So that was just in that last part, but be in front of people and letting people know, hey, this is okay. And use all communication vehicles, face-to-face, phone, email, meetings, three-way calls, all of that to raise your visibility and get your message out. Don't just expect people that just because you're really into like Voxer, I think is what it was. I don't even know if it's still around. But it's like, just because you love it doesn't mean that everybody else is doing it. So communicate with as many possible avenues as you can. Phone, email, meetings, text messaging, face-to-face, whatever it is, get your message out there. Do a Facebook Live. Put a video out. Let people know and let people hear what you have to say. Some of the greatest companies out there encourage people to be negative on Facebook because they're confident in their ability to be able to manage their customers and get them a resolution that makes everybody happy. That is key. Don't hide from things. So be front and center with changes or any type of disagreements or anything, and just say, hey, listen, yeah, you're right. You know what? We made a mistake. What can we do to help you? And let other people, because this is where the social proof comes in, let other people see that you're able to manage and handle those things. Like when somebody starts to bash you on Facebook, go, hey, you know what? Let's talk this out. Now, you can do one of two things, because most people get back into it and they start to attack the other person. No, say, hey, listen, if you made a mistake, make a mistake and admit to it and say, listen, I was wrong, and so I'm sorry, and totally release all that energy about it and see what happens. But do it visibly, because that's the best way for people to see who you are and what life is about for you and how you respond to it, because everybody responds differently to life. Number three, be a student of great leaders, whether it's a president like Abraham Lincoln or a CEO like Jack Welch. Examine those who've successfully led from the led from the front, and adopt best practices. Okay, adopt the best practices. That's what I've been saying. I know somebody else said it. It said, take the best and leave the rest. If it doesn't resonate with you, let it go. Like, just let it be. But take the best ideas, take the best characteristics, take the best of whatever you want, and own that for yourself. And that will help you become an even greater leader by learning and listening to other leaders that have done great things. There's always something to learn. That's why history is so important. I don't believe that it's all about the history about who did this, who did that. But when you understand the levels and the characteristics and the personalities of certain leaders, you realize that there's a lot of things there that we can take from and learn from, and hopefully not make the same mistakes. Okay. So thank you and goodbye until next time. Now, one of the things that I'm changing up here, I'm really focused on this gratitude, and I want to say, stay grateful by leaving a comment below on what you are most grateful for in your life today. Okay, it's just something that I've changed in my voicemail and everything that I'm doing. It's like, you know what are you grateful for? And start to really focus on the gratitude, because that's going to shift the energy for you in your life, and it's going to create more greater things. Because the moment that you share your gratitude about where you are and what's going on is the moment that you have had your peace with it and let it go. It's been a great time. Thank you so much. Bye for now.